Hi friends, thanks for joining me today in my kitchen. I've got a couple of hours ahead of me and I wanted to show you some ideas for sheet pan meals. In England we call them tray bakes. They're such an easy meal option for a busy weeknight. You just need to cut up some vegetables, season some meat and let it all cook in the oven for about half an hour, sometimes a little bit longer. So it's really easy, it comes together really quickly. You don't even have to prepare any kind of carbs to go with it because you could put some potatoes in the sheet pan if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that today because if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I have some children that can't eat potato at the moment. So I'm just going to be doing vegetables and I will probably serve it with some rice. So I'm preparing several sheet pan meals today and I'm going to be heating them up over the week. This is going to last us for quite a few days. The first thing I'm going to do is put a marinade on this chicken. So I've got some chicken thighs here that are skinless and boneless, and it's actually my favourite cut of meat, these chicken thighs. I think they're so tender, so delicious, and just really easy to use, especially in a tray bake. So I'm going to marinate them just really quickly while I'm getting the vegetables going with some pesto that I made over the summer, and a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of olive oil, and I'll just let those sit there for 15 minutes while I'm getting on with the vegetables. When I made pesto over the summer, I froze it in ice cube shapes, so I just defrosted some of that yesterday so that I could use it today. And now I'm going to add the juice of 1 lemon. A little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. I'm going to drizzle some olive oil because my pesto is quite dry. There's a lot of nuts in there, so I'm going to need a little bit extra oil. Give that a good stir. And leave that to one side. Now there's nothing difficult about this dish, but preparing the vegetables can be quite time consuming, so I'm going to get on and do that as quickly as I can. I'm going to start with this courgette, which is huge. I bought this from our local organic shop for, I think it was €1.25 for, I don't know how many kilos this courgette is, but it's going to do for this meal, and then I'll make a soup with the rest. You absolutely have to peel these large courgettes because the skin is pretty tough. I once made the mistake of forgetting to peel it, and the soup that I made with the courgette was not great, so I'm peeling it this time. I'm also using aubergines, peppers and tomatoes in this recipe. I like to cut my aubergine in half and then slice it quite thinly so that it almost caramelizes when it bakes in the oven. It's really good. I like to try and group my vegetables together in the pan, mostly because I think it looks really pretty. Now for the peppers. slice these. And now for the tomatoes. I'm going to drizzle these with oil. You need plenty of oil on the aubergine because that tends to really absorb the oil. You need to season the vegetables because even though the meat is seasoned, it's not seasoned enough for the vegetables. I'm going to pop these in the oven for about 10 minutes before I add the meat. While the vegetables are cooking for my first tray bake, I'm going to get on with my second one, which is a sausage, butternut and apple bake. I'm going to be doing this in cast iron pans simply because I don't have enough sheet pans, so you can do it in either cast iron, sheet pans or ceramic dishes. Whatever you have to hand would work for this. So this is going to make 2 dishes. I'm going to cut up 1 butternut and 6 apples. I'm going to drizzle that with salt, pepper and honey. And then I'm going to place the sausages on the top. I should probably let the vegetables cook again for about 10 minutes before I add the sausages. Place the sausages on the top and the vegetables will be absolutely delicious, nice and soft, hopefully a little bit caramelized with the juices of the sausages going through them and giving them a really good flavour. Apparently you can eat the skin of butternut squash, but I have to say I prefer to peel it. I think the flavour is better and the texture is better that way. If you're having trouble cutting up your butternut squash, it's best to rock it while you're trying to cut it, and it cuts really easily that way. In goes the butternut squash. Now I'm not going to peel the apples because they're organic, so we're going to make the most of all the nutrients in their skins. Just cutting them up into fairly large chunks because they will reduce down quite a lot in the oven. And I'm going to be using 3 medium large apples per cast iron pan. Again, I'm going to season the vegetables and drizzle them with olive oil. I'm going to bake them in the oven without the sausages for about 15 minutes. Now it's time to add the chicken to this first sheet pan dish. And I'm just going to make sure that there's plenty of pesto on each piece of chicken. And they will go in the oven for 25 minutes. Now it's time to put the sausages on the vegetables. These are quite thick sausages and they will cook for about 25 minutes. Now I'm actually quite surprised, but I've only been in the kitchen for just under an hour. I've already got 2 dinners in the oven and I've got time to make a third one. So I'm attempting to make a sticky chicken tray bake with broccoli and carrots. And a lot of the recipes have got a whole load of sugar in them, so I'm trying to cut down on the sugar. I'm going to be using honey, soy sauce and apple cider vinegar for the marinade for the chicken. And I'm going to be using chicken thighs with the skin and the bone on, so I can cook it for a bit longer. I don't have to cook the vegetables first. I can put everything in at the same time and it'll cook together nicely without overcooking the meat. For the sauce, I'm going to be using 1 cup of honey. Now bear in mind this is enough for 2 meals for my family. half a cup of soy sauce and half a cup of apple cider vinegar. In goes the chicken. I'll mix that around. It's easiest to use my hands for this. Let that marinade while I get on with the vegetables. I've got 2 large heads of broccoli here, and I'm going to be using as much of the stalk as I can as well. Now this is about the right size for a tray bake, so I'm going to be cutting up some of these larger florets into ones that are about this size. For the stalk, I'm going to be cutting off the tough exterior and just using the heart. Actually, it's not very good, so I won't be able to use much of it. I'm going to wash this broccoli and then put it on the trays. I have a smaller tray here, so obviously I'm not going to be putting quite as much in this one. Now I'm going to add some carrots. And again, these carrots are organic, so I don't need to peel them. I'm just going to cut them lengthwise and then into chunks. And I'm going to add 3 or 4 per tray. I'm going to drizzle these vegetables with oil, but I'm not going to season them because there'll be plenty of sauce that will season the vegetables really well. Now for the chicken. Now I'm going to drizzle with the sauce. And these will go in the oven for about 30 minutes. So that's it. I've had about an hour and a quarter of hands-on time, and I've got 3 meals ready for the family. Now, I love sheet pan meals because they're quick, they're easy, and you can really easily adapt them to your own needs. So I have a large family, I do a lot of meat, a lot of vegetables, but if you're by yourself or if there's just a couple of you at home, you can really easily just put the vegetables and the meat that you need for that meal, and it'll cook for the same amount of time. And you can also adapt the seasonings. If you like Tex-Mex, you can put Tex-Mex on your chicken, or if you prefer Asian flavours, like I love Asian flavours, then you can do a soy sauce marinade like I just did today. It's so easy to adapt to your own needs and your own preferences. I really recommend trying sheet pan dinners if you're stuck for a meal idea this week. These sheet pan meals were absolutely delicious. The meat wasn't very brown, so I could have cooked it for a little bit longer, that would have been fine, or I could have put it under a broiler or a grill to brown the meat off a little bit. But since I was warming this up later in the week, it actually turned out really well. Thanks for joining me today, friends. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, would you go ahead and subscribe to my channel? That would really help me a lot. And you can also leave me a comment below and let me know what other kind of meal ideas you might be interested in. I'll see you next time. Bye!